The Burning Questions is a panel-style cybersecurity discussion featuring industry practitioners as co-hosts and panelists. Each episode focuses on delivering unfiltered, experience-driven opinions on real-world cybersecurity topics. We're looking for no vendor spin, no fluff, no word salads, just sharp questions, real expertise, and increasingly questionable life choices. Here are the rules for the panel. Every time a question is asked, the panelist answering must take a bite of a specially selected, brutally spicy food item. The host takes a bite too. Just to be fair, the escalating heat mirrors the real pressure faced by cybersecurity practitioners in their real jobs. As the spiciness intensifies, the honesty increases as well. This is cybersecurity under pressure.
Yeah. I think I have a follow-up question. I'm sure you guys have questions to ask, so I'll follow-up question then. Isn't it technically then is more than the product loss due to the fraud, but there's also the business revenue loss because you shut down the website, so it couldn't operate for a period of time?
Absolutely. So I can't give you a good estimation of how much potential loss we had from that shutdown. But which is why I prefer not to go down that pathway. The education piece is more of trying to understand what the actual losses are. What I've realized is that business people, you can't scare them too much. That's the reality. You can't scare them too much.
You're saying the shutting down of their website. Doesn't that also mean that there's a loss of revenue for income, right, coming to their website for the business?
Yeah, it absolutely is, and I try not to scare the business too much by trying to give an estimation. I guess you can come up with an estimation with something like that, but I just avoided looking into that angle. Having to talk to something about that is tangibly lost is easier than to talk about speculative numbers at the end of it. So I chose not to, and it was just easier to speak to the number of products we actually lost.
All right. Steve, you got anything?
Yeah, and a follow-up question to that. It sounds like there might have been a bit of background in terms of trying to convince deployment of 3D Secure beforehand. Mm-hmm. So going back to that decision of deploying it then and there in response to the incident as it's happening. I know you've had those conversations and you were able to articulate the amount of money that was lost. But in terms of, I guess, also adding additional dimension to it to what additionally could have been lost probably wasn't as relevant anymore because we needed to make a decision to do this now. Do you feel that it was easier to convince the business to go ahead and deploy the control that you were trying to deploy for some time back already?
So to be fair to the business owner, there wasn't an outright no. It was just that it was on a backlog that always gets deprioritized. Mm-hmm. I think that's very familiar, right? And that was what was happening. So the articulation was, whilst in the beginning, the articulation was a risk, a forward-looking potential loss, versus now it's actually an issue because, that incident has occurred. And therefore, there is no more reason for you to deprioritize it. In fact, it just was something that needed to be implemented very quickly. Look, in whether it's, you can't always blame the business owner for something like that. I like to believe that, as security people, we know everything. No, we don't, right? Mm-hmm. I think in that particular instance, all I could have done is go, it's already been informed, they've been informed, and unfortunately, it's occurred. So what was more important was the person actually could understand it and then very quickly sort of agreed to it and focus all the resources to actually do what they need to do. What is more interesting is that by doing this, the business owner then sees, oh, wait a minute, I've got to sort of deprioritize other things now because of the outage. which then, yeah, so there's a bigger of a domino effect, and it's not something that I would say it out, but the business actually is smart enough to realize that maybe we should have done this earlier, and then avoided it, right?
I have a follow-up question though. You said that the impact to the business and there's a loss of some money there, and the consequences also the control being prioritized, which is good. Is there any impact to the customer when this is done? And if there is any, then is there any demand for customer to like have a better control for them, or there is nothing, or what is the impact to the customer?
Actually, there was no impact to the customers.
okay.
Besides the fact that they can't do their
Just
buying their Dyson
unavailable, yeah?
vacuum cleaners and stuff like that. That was the only thing. So, it didn't impact. The impact is that they couldn't put their orders in. Yeah, so that was it. So which is why it's interesting, right? Articulation to the business that they sometimes look at that and go, if I don't do it, I save all this time. I can build another feature to bring in more revenue. So that was their perspective. I have to agree. That would be the case as well. It's just that unfortunately, things happen, and when things happen, things become real. And when things become real, the question is, how do you respond to it?
One interesting also, I want to understand. You say you have the authority to make a decisions, right? Tell me about how you come up into having that power to make decision while you are not the owner of the business. I assume, is that like a pre-arranged kind of thing, or is it decided in the CMT, or how you go about having that power?
I think there's a lot of pre-work that needs to be done before you get to that point. It's absolutely earned. I did not get it by default, and it's earned not by banging the drums and scaring people. It's earned by having maturity and having a proper discussion with the business when it comes to that, and speaking to the management team. It's earned through that way, when people have to trust you. So it was never. I want to be really clear that just because you're head of cyber, it doesn't mean that you have the authority to do anything immediately. There's no automatic authority. I know everybody around this table knows this for a fact. So yeah, it is about being respectful and being mature enough to have that conversation with the business, speaking their language, just to gain their trust to get to that position.
Yeah. It's like a discussion after the incident, or what is the recommendation from security? I think this is one. How about I make that decision? Is that kind of negotiation with the business?
Oh, in that case, in that particular instance, no, it was just me going, no, we're shutting down.
Oh,
It's happening right now.
It's happening absolutely.
I need to do it now.
Yeah,
Right now.
I mean, we were looking at the logs going and the amount of the credit cards coming in and the transactions coming in. The reality is that the losses could have been bigger. So I just pulled the pin and go, we're going dark. Yeah, it was unfortunate in that situation. I was informing them that it was happening, and not consulting them.
I just wanted to touch on what you mentioned before, where they weren't really outright saying no, which is not uncommon. That's how it is. Everyone's got priorities, right? You got to prioritize, and then you have a backlog of things to do, and you go, okay, these are the things that are priority for me right now. Once I deal with that, then the other ones will be reviewed, right? And then they can be brought forward to be addressed. During the incident, things change. Gloves come off, and you go, this is the biggest priority right now, and we need to action accordingly.
Absolutely. I mean, and this is where I talk about the fact that the business needs to know how to react then. Right. The idea here is that there is a bit of a compromise at the end of the day. But if I'm sitting there going, this is actually happening, you have to do this now. I would say that it is not uncommon for business to go, no, we're still not going to do it. right? let me be. There's another incident that we can for another time. But this one, they were mature enough to go. Okay, I get it.
So, actually, I just realized the two of you should have, take a,
yeah, I missed
yeah. While you're doing that, I'll ask my question. So, how quickly were they able to implement the control?
A lot quicker than the original estimation on the backlog. It's look. I think ultimately, good things and bad things, right? So yeah, it was implemented in terms of hours rather than weeks.
Okay.
When you're motivated, you will do it.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say that the control is perfect either, because we did get some customers getting confused and ask why the company was asking for the OTP when they were paying, which is the onslaught of 3D secure, and it was the user experience was different. So they did ask questions as well, of which then there's a bit of education going. Yep, this has been implemented, and usually when we're 3D secure, you need to actually tell people, yep, the experience is different. You'll be pushed on
Change management.
to your but in this case, you've got no time. So yeah.
I've got a follow-up question onto that one. So just on the communications side of things, so you touched on the user experience, and there were customers who were raising, what's going on? This is different. Is this a scam, or am I getting hacked or whatever, that kind of thing. In terms of communications, was there communications about the incident, and was there separate communications about the change in the experience with implementing the new control, or were they linked and in sync?